Look here, y'all. This is the most exciting day of the week or evening of the week for me because I get to spend this time with you. First of all, I need to say hello. My name is Tanya Smith. For those of you who don't know me, I am the host of the weekly stream. This is our weekly live stream called Stream Like a Boss TV, sponsored by my company, Get Noticed with Video LLC. If you are brand new, and this is your first time ever watching, I want you to put in a hashtag newbie. And I have a little banner that I need to remember to put up sometime. There we go. And if you've been here before, you put in hashtag OG. I see several OGs already in the house. So I'm going to pop up some names and say hello to my friend John Lacey and my fam, Dan the man, the honest accomplice. I love it. And also, I see Roy here in the house. Roy actually has the question of the day. So I'm going to be covering your question of the day, Tech Troublemaker. Tech Troublemaker actually had a video this week that was talking about guest interviews and how to actually do that, like how to do them well. And he had, I believe it was Doc Rock that was on your show. Am I right on that, Roy? So y'all make sure you go and check it out. I see Scott in the house. I see we have a newbie in the house. So I need to give you some applause and tell you welcome. Thank you. Welcome, Stephanie D. Miller in the house. It's wonderful to see you. I also see Scott Benedict. Gosh, y'all are coming in hot. There is Nicolette Barrett, the Get Hired strategist, also known as the iRock Resumes Queen, and another OG. I also see another newbie, Restore, with Selena. I love it. So look, we got to give y'all some hype. Let me do this. We need the hype in the house and another clap. Look, I got to show y'all some love because here, the thing is, I really enjoy doing these live streams every week. This is not work. This is pure fun. So the topic we're going to be talking about tonight has to do with building community. We're going to talk about community, and I just want you to know I'm probably the last person on earth. When I say that, I really mean it. The last person on earth that would ever have thought 5 years ago that I'd be talking to you about building community, but we're here for it. It is a thing. It's super important, especially if you're going to be delivering any type of regular or recurring content. I want you to know there are opportunities to create community and social circles around the content that you share. So I'm going to talk about some practical strategies. I'm going to answer questions. If you have questions, I want you to take a few minutes now to go get your notepad and your pen, and also your favorite drink of water, coffee, tea, or whatever you prefer at this time of day or evening. And I am going to share a very quick video while we transition into the content. So I'm going to give people a chance to go and grab that notepad. Yes. Okay. So look, John, this is your show right here. I need a special segment, community building for introverts. Let me tell you why. And that's one of the reasons why I can tell you that I am one of the last people that would talk about building community, because I am an extra introvert. When I say I am a cave dweller to the nth degree, I'm not even... Look, Dan is starting stuff. I see you in the comments. But I truly am an introvert. And we'll talk a little bit about that, because I don't think it really matters whatever side of the coin you feel you fit into. You have opportunity in this moment to create community, and that is what we're here to talk about. I love it. Stephanie said, fellow introvert. Yes. Oh, and Dan was referring to you, John Lacey, in that comment. Restore with Selena, you too? Okay. Look, so y'all are my people. The folks that are on here right now, whether you're newbie or OG, you are my people, and this message is for you. So go grab that pen, that favorite little sip of whatever, and come on back in just a couple of seconds, and we will get started. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. See you on the other side of this video. I always feel like I want to be a DJ. Like that goes back to the 80s and 90s when I thought I could, like record scratch. I love that music. Don't laugh. Y'all are tripping. Okay, so I see my friend Nicolette is an extrovert. The only person who popped in here and said I'm a total extrovert, but it is true. And that's why I'm going to make sure there's something for everyone. And yes, Roy, I agree with you. When friends influence people, make the world a better place. And that is truly what this whole idea of connection and community is all about. It's not just about building a membership. I know that there's a lot of hype around memberships. As a matter of fact, there are a couple of resources that are trusted resources to me because I've tried them, I've experienced them, and I will share them with you if you are thinking, hey, I want to create community or build a membership and I'm not exactly sure how. Because that is not my bailiwick, that's not the expertise. I'm going to share with you this whole concept of community from a standpoint of experience and what I've seen and how I've grown personally over the past few years, just as a result of doing a weekly live stream. So a regular live stream is what enticed me into finally deciding that I too can build and create community. So I want to talk about it from that perspective. Now, before we dive in, there's a couple of points that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to share these with you, okay? Because I do have an outline so I can stay on track. Sometimes that does not help. I will say that. But either way, everything I talk about is going to help you to better
stream like a boss.
I want you to stream like a boss, and that's what we're talking about. So here's the thing, a couple of things. The 3 pointers that we're going to focus on are these. One, I want to talk about the types of community that you can look into and think about creating. I'm going to talk about finding the purpose or identifying what's the reason behind the space that you're creating as a result of your live stream or your weekly media, whatever that might be. If it's podcasting, that could work too. I'm going to talk about time and effort being 2 of the biggest assets that you really want to think about. Like, where do I want to expend this time and effort? And do I have time and effort to put into something to make it worthwhile? So we're going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about feature choices and options to help you to choose the right platform. And if you want to, we can talk about different platforms as well, because I've tried several. And like I mentioned, I'll give you a couple of trusted resources that I believe could help you if you're really, truly thinking about creating your own community. The thing is, a lot of people throw that term around and throw around the idea of membership. And it takes a lot of work. It takes thought and intention and purpose. And so that's part of the reason why I'm here. I love to talk about how you're leveraging live stream marketing to really grow your brand, how you're using this specific media to serve more people, to stand out online, to sell more of your services. So everything I talk about is in that context. So when I speak to you about community, I want to talk to you about the practical things you really need to think about and consider as you're making a decision about whether or not that's right for you. And some of the spaces that you may create, you will find to be much more effortless than if you were sitting down and trying to map out almost an entire paid membership program that's going to last for years and years. That can take a lot of consideration. And I want to give you both sides of the coin, like how to do this easy and then how to do it in a more robust way. We won't say hard, but it can be a lot of work. So we're going to talk about both of those things. I love it. Okay. And I see Michelle in the house, another OG. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Look, if you all have comments, thoughts, or anything you want to share, make sure you share it because I'm watching your comments. I want to make sure I answer questions. And I also want to acknowledge you because I truly, truly do believe that you are the reason why we're here and having this show in the first place. I'm doing this because I feel like it can be of help to someone. And that someone may be you or maybe not. But I hope that it's you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, and somewhere in the middle, I think after I get through point number 1.5, maybe 2, then I will answer the question of the day from Roy, because I think it's a really good, valuable question, especially for those of you who are building on YouTube. So we'll highlight that. Okay, so out of my 3 tips, this is number 1. Number 1. And I want you to think about this. Thank you, Dan. Number 1 is I want you to consider the types of communities and the purpose of the community you want to create. Now, I kind of mentioned this, but I didn't really go into detail. I'm going to go into a little bit more depth right now. When I first started doing my live stream, I didn't have an audience. You see all these beautiful, wonderful family members here in the comments now. I didn't have that. I didn't have this set. I was finding different spots in my house, using my phone, using kind of a broke down webcam that was it was angled, looking at my nose. So I didn't start out where I am right now. The first thing I had to consider is, am I going to be committed to doing this thing, right? And once I committed to doing this thing and showing up, the more I showed up, the more others showed up. So that's a point I really don't want you to miss, okay? Because we're talking about communities, and communities require people. So if you're just starting out the gate, you're just now starting to do live streaming, and your very first thought is community, I want you to pause a little bit. I want you to step back and think, wait, I want to be committed to putting on this live stream on a regular cadence. I'm going to commit to myself. I'm going to commit to other people that I'm telling about my show, and I need to show up. Because if you find that it's really not for you, if you decide that, you know what, I'm not as committed as I thought I was going to be, then I don't want you to put the effort and the time into creating community and going out and paying for platforms and doing all these things if you don't yet have that commitment, okay? So when you're thinking about the type of community and the purpose, there are lots and lots of different ways that you can go about creating a platform where you're networking and engaging with other people, because that's what community is. Now, like I said, I didn't have people. It was me. And I had previously done a podcast. And in the podcast, I tried doing interviews with other people. I got a little annoyed when people didn't show up on time. Look, I didn't have systems in place like I do today. And I ended up deciding, okay, I'm just going to do this on my own. So I said, for my live stream, when I start out, it's going to be me, because I know I can rely on me to be on this regular cadence. So the more I showed up, the more other people began to be repetitive and returning. They kept returning the next week and the next week because they knew that I was going to be on a certain day and a certain time. So I became reliable for them. I started to build credibility for them and consistency for them. And then as people started to continue to show up, I started to get to know them. We had conversations in the chat. They started to ask me, where else can we play when we're not on the live stream on our weeknight? Where else can we hang out? And being the introvert that I am, y'all, I was like, I don't know. I'm not good at creating networks. Like, I don't even enjoy doing, the networking organizations and events. I was doing them because I had to as a business coach for years. but it wasn't my happy place. It wasn't like I was like, oh, let me go out here and start this conversation with 50 people that I don't know. So it was kind of one of those things where I started getting more and more curious because people were asking, where else can we hang out and connect? And so I finally realized I need to create a space where we can extend the experience beyond just being on camera, right? So that was the beginning. That was the seed of what I now call Stream Bosses Academy. That was the seed for me to decide, this is what I want to put together and how I want to put it together. So the next thing is, so you start thinking about that and you think, well, do I want to charge for that? So really there's three things that if you're thinking about this now and you're kind of putting notes on paper, is it going to be a free community? Is it going to be a paid space? Will it be a hybrid, meaning that you have this space that you create and you're collecting money at a certain level, and others who are not at that level still can get certain types of content for free? You can have a hybrid model. And I've tried all of those different models. And now what I've realized is having many communities, and I'm saying many as in M-I-N-I, not M-A-N-Y, smaller communities focused and honed in on a single purpose is a possibility as well. So for instance, and I love this question, so I'm going to definitely answer that. John says, how do you define community, Tanya? So for me, in the purpose of this particular talk, this chat we're having tonight, what I'm talking about is a convening of like-minded people who are gathering around your topic. Okay? So if you have planted a flag and said, I am a relationship coach who talks about women over 50 who have recently been divorced. That's your flag, right? So now you begin to create topics and you begin to deliver live stream video content around that topic and the other branch subtopics that are related to that thing, because it may have to do with, hey, this is my first time being on my own over 50, and now I'm not sure about how to handle finances. So finance could be a subtopic. Another subtopic could be how to actually find your new romantic partner, another subtopic. So all these subtopics fit under your umbrella or your flag, and there are people that fall within that demographic who are interested in what you have to share, and that becomes a community. Okay? So I'm talking about specifically these pods. I hate using the word pods because it sounds so AI. But I'm talking about groups, circles. How about that? Circles of influence where there are like-minded people who are interested in something, a central topic. That's what I mean. So I have a free community and space on Facebook. And some of you are actually watching from inside of the Facebook group right now. It's called Live Streaming for Service Providers. That free community, the purpose, I had to think about, like, what's the purpose for all these different spaces, right? So there's a free Facebook group. Then I have a paid Stream Bosses Academy community. Then I have clients that are in my coaching space that may come together in what we call our Inner Circle Mastermind. And that's a paid community. At one point, I had a hybrid where I was using streamlikeaboss.net. It's the platform was Group App. And so I said, okay, what I'm going to do is create this space. And example, a lot of you are part of different Mighty Network spaces. And so what sometimes you'll see is in Mighty Networks and similar platforms where people have enticed you to come and to be a free member. And then while you're a free member, you're getting FOMO, fear of missing out. And you're finding, oh, wait, they have this paid course over here that I'm really interested in taking advantage of. So now you become a part of the paid group. And that's sectioned off only for people who are paying a certain level, right, or a certain amount. They get access to a different set of features. I'm trying to get you to start thinking about communities in these different ways so you can really think through what makes sense for you. So right out of the gate, if you're just now starting with a recurring live stream or other type of media, and you don't yet have an audience, it may be a good idea to start with a free community, like a free Facebook group or a free LinkedIn group, or even there's a way that you can actually create a smaller paid level of membership inside of buymeacoffee.com. I'm going to show y'all. I'm going to show you a couple of different examples of exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. When we get to platforms, I'm going to talk about that. And I will show you Kirk Nugent and his wife actually have a membership on Buy Me a Coffee that I thought was a genius. I'm like, oh, that's smart. Okay. But we'll talk about that. So as you're thinking through, do I want free? Do I want paid? Or do I want a hybrid? You need to be thinking about the purpose for each of those spaces. So for me, the Facebook group itself is really designed for me to be able to interact with people who otherwise would never know anything about me, to be able to offer and deliver this content through this live stream that I do, to be able to do in office hours where I'm answering some surface level questions, right? Things that I can give people quick hitter wins. And then in the paid community in Stream Bosses Academy, we have a lot more structure. So in that space, I'm delivering full-blown master classes. Like we had a class earlier this week where we talked about how to use social media to amplify your live stream brand. Like how do you use that? And we went through very specific steps. And I had created for them a 10-step checklist. And we have worksheet and a monthly challenge. And we also have co-working days, which I'll show you all in a second, a really quick hitter, because I'm loving this idea that has been born out of using something called Go Brunch. But we've been doing this for now a couple of years, Stream Bosses Academy, I mean. And the reason why I love that space is because it is a paid community, which tells me and tells others that when you know that you're committed to doing more video content and you're ready to invest in yourself and to have more knowledge and to have more access, greater access to me and to all my different tools, my recommended resource library and all these other different things, then you're willing to pay a fee for that. This is why I'm saying if you're just starting out and you do not yet have an engaged audience, it's going to be difficult for you to sell people on the idea of a paid space if they don't even know who you are and you haven't built that trust and that credibility and you've shown them, I'm going to show up for you whether you put the dollars out or not, right? I'm going to show up for you whether or not you're doing this. Okay? So in a free space, you can find yourself in a trap, meaning that, and I want, again, sharing this with you for real, for real, for real. Yep. And Teresa said it, for the real bosses. And John hit it right on the head. This is the point I was about to make. John said, the free options help nurture your leads until they are ready to take it to the next level. That's exactly right. And you need to be open to the fact that, you know what, some people will never, ever be ready for your paid space. Your paid space should be, I think someone described it before as a red rope. Like you should have a red rope around your paid space, meaning that they can choose your clients and your potential engaged audience that's paying you to be a part of that membership. They're choosing you, but you're also choosing them. You get to design the space that you truly want to create. You get to design and create a space where you have a community that is something that is a part of your vision. It doesn't just have to be, well, let me create something and then see what they turn it into. That's why I'm saying purpose is important. You need to think about, why do I want to do this? I knew that I needed to bridge the gap from, hey, I think I'm interested in doing video, to, you know what, I'm ready to do video and I need the exact steps because I'm ready to implement and take action on those things so that I can start seeing my numbers grow. There is a difference. And people have to make a decision as to when they're ready for one versus the other. And if you can create a space for them that gives them access to both, then great. But it needs to be something you're being intentional about, because you can train people to come and get from you your high ticket knowledge for no money at all if you're constantly giving away content for free in the free community that you're creating. So I want you to be thinking about, what's the difference in those spaces? What will the features look like in one versus the other? Okay. Yeah. Valerie said, wow, that's awesome. Let's see. Dan, I have a 12,000 person free community. I did it on purpose, but giving too much away for free. Okay, that's the point. Exactly. When I was ready to monetize, yes, because you can fall into the trap of training people to expect everything from you, but not to give you anything back in return. And I'm not saying you go into your business and go into creating a free space solely for the idea of drawing them over into the paid space. What I am saying is, you need to give people the option and the opportunity, because sometimes we're not only shortchanging ourselves, because we still need to like feed our families, and this is a business, not a hobby, but we're also shortchanging them. Let me give you a really clear example. I used to do the Let's Go Live challenge for free. And one day I had this revelation. It was because of a woman that came into my space. She said, because at the time I was just in the position of transitioning over the Let's Go Live challenge from free to a $37 fee. Mind you, it was pretty much the same content, but I knew the content was really good, and I knew at the end that people were getting exactly what I promised, and I thought, I'm going to try this $37. So here's what she said. She said, I didn't think it was valuable because it was free. So that's why I didn't participate before now. She signed up the minute I added a price tag to it, y'all, because she did not assign value. I want you to hear what I'm saying. She didn't assign value to it because it had no dollar assigned, no dollar sign assigned to it. And I'm like, this is a really excellent challenge. Like it's getting people results. Yes. And she said that to me, and it was like light bulbs went off. I realized, I was like, I am not doing this right. I'm not doing the math right. Y'all know I love this math overlay. It's one of my favorites. Stop laughing, John. Yes, people think it's watered down. That's exactly what was happening. So why participate? So adding a price to it allowed me to be able to say, hey, this has some value. It's even better value than the $37. But, you know, she joined because it had a price tag. Because that told her and other people, you know what? This will be worth my time. I'm going to spend 5 days with this woman learning how to go live on camera for $37. So, yeah, I know, John. I know. Never do math live. I know, Roy. I love it, though. It's one of my favorites now. Thank you, Luria Petrucci, for putting that into your store so I could get it. Okay, so enough of that. The thing is, you need to think about what's the purpose? If I'm doing a free community, am I training people to expect certain things? So whatever you're constantly giving, That is what they will expect and continue to expect. So you need to think about, how do I build in an offer that will bridge them into my paid and more premium spaces? You need to be thinking through that. That's all funnel and sales system building, which we won't spend a lot of time on today. But I just want this seed planted so you understand when I say think about whether it's going to be free, paid, or hybrid. What is the purpose? What are you trying to get out of that? Okay, number two is consider the time and effort that it's going to take, which I've kind of already shared. I think I've shared with you. It's going to take you some work. So a lot of people say, I want to have a community. I'm going to create a membership program. And so then they go, and here's what they do first. And this is what I'm going to tell you not to do. Don't do this. Don't go out and buy a years long membership fee to something like Mighty Networks and pay $1,200 for a year and you don't have a single soul ready to sign up. Please don't do that. It takes time and it takes effort to begin to build your community. So I don't want you to go out and spend all this money and then hope and pray that people will show up. You really need to be strategizing about what's the plan, and do I have something to build on? Do I have foundation? Do I have regular committed content that's going out there that people can see and they're liking it and they're drawn to it and they would be willing to invest in getting a next level version of this content and this topic that I'm talking about? When you start seeing the signs of those things, just like I did, when people start asking, hey, we've been here, we want more, give us a space to play. When you start getting signs of that, then that is a good time for you to consider, okay, now I can drop some cash on creating a space or finding and investing in a platform. There's a couple of different platforms, and yeah, you're exactly right. Anything worth doing requires effort. There's a couple of different platforms that I will show you next. One of the things that you want to think about if you're just doing a free space, so if you're doing live stream like we're doing right now, a really easy way to continue to build a free space, a free community, is by showing up and chatting with people. So engaging in the chat like we're doing right now, right? That begins to build community. This is why I have my OGs and my newbies, right? Both are in the house. You both are here. You're both identifying. So is there an identifier that you can share with people so that they identify themselves as being a part of your space? That is community. That becomes community. So live chat is an early version of a free space. Q&A sessions. So office hours, one of the things that I like to do once a month for my free space is to have an office hours. Now, not everybody shows up. And why? Because I suspect it has to do with the same thing the lady told me. It's free. I'm giving away free advice. So people are like, oh, it must not be worth anything. Which I always think is kind of hilarious because I'm like, man, if I were to... When I see other people who I see as mentors that are a couple of steps ahead of me or even further than that ahead, and they say, hey, ask me anything, I'm all over it. I'm like, yeah, okay, I got questions. I got a list of 5. Can I get them all in? Right? But offering some type of Q&A, so I love doing Ask Me Anything, allows you an opportunity to create community because you're showing yourself to be a credible expert. That's why we're going to do our question of the day segment in just a second. And we'll keep it brief, but I definitely want to do it because Roy asked this question and I want to answer it. So some successful Q&A sessions can be super simple. So inside of my free Facebook group, they used to have this, which I used to love. They've taken it away because they're always moving things. But I used to love that they would have an actual Q&A generator so that you could create your question and it would say, hey, this is going to be up for 24 hours. Ask me anything about this topic. And then people could pop in and ask a question either using an image or a GIF or they could put text, or they could do a short video clip, and then you'd be able to respond. Like, you'd see them all in one space. Now you can still kind of do that, but you have to do it more manually, meaning that you just post in your space, your free space, saying, hey, ask me anything. It's Ask Me Anything Day. So my day is typically on Wednesday or Thursday. Ask me anything, and I may spotlight you on my next live stream and your question, right? So that creates community, because that creates, if you give people the answers that they need that will help them, then they come back because they start to trust you and trust the advice because it worked for them. Shout outs and acknowledgments, acknowledging people as people. These are simple ways to create community in your free spaces, okay? So finding ways to do shout outs. So on Fan Friday, for instance, in your Facebook group, or I'm going to tell you someplace else that you can go is your YouTube community tab. So I'm going to share with you really fast, and I've just started really doing better about this, but there are a ton of videos, and I want y'all to go and search for them on YouTube. I haven't made one yet because I'm really just starting to get into doing better with my YouTube, but I'm going to share with you a tab that you can turn on depending on the number of subscribers you have, which I think has been reduced to maybe like 500. Once you get to that point, then you could turn on the community tab. So I'm going to show you that real quick. Let's do that. I will share my screen. Okay. So right here, notice that there's this community tab, and I've already clicked on it so you can see this. So one of the things you can do, and this is another free way for you to create community, okay, similar to your Facebook group, but slightly different in that people can't just automatically post in your community space, but they can respond and engage in the comments, right? So when you share regular, consistent content, so some of the things that I've shared in my Facebook and my LinkedIn spaces, I'll share my calendar for the month. So I'm sharing because this is community. Do you see what I'm saying? You can see community in a lot of different ways. It doesn't have to be a paid membership program, but I'm sharing posts about my life and what I'm doing during the day. So the things that you're sharing in your Instagram stories, the things that you're sharing in any space, right? You can be writing a quick blurb, and then you can post that under your community tab. Now, the way you're going to do that is you just go here where it says create, click on create, and then create post. You have to have this turned on, and I do believe there's still a minimum requirement of subscribers. So in order for you to get to this point, then what you're going to do, oh, I love this. Thank you, John. I'm going to pop your comment up. What you're going to do is you're going to start with that consistent content that I said you want to start with first, right? Because then you begin building interest in the things that you do and what you're up to. Okay. So this is one of the things that I've done here. Let me pop up John's notes because he knows about this. Video, text, you can do image posts, you can do quizzes, you can do polls. There's all kinds of stuff you can do in this space. You can ping people with their @YouTube handle. Yes, I know. Dan said, what I don't understand is the Instagram stream. That's a whole other story, but that too can also create community for you, right? That also can create community. So any place where people will gather around the content that you're putting up and putting together, that can become community. So that was a space that I just showed you. Your Facebook group, like I mentioned, is probably one of the most common spaces that people create when they're doing a free community. Let me show you Kirk's Buy Me a Coffee space, because I thought, wow, that's genius. He and his wife just started a new series called The Incubators. I think it's called Incubators Couch. And with this series, what they're doing is he has leveraged his Buy Me a Coffee space. And let me see, I might need to go to the other screen share. Okay, so you can see it a little bit better. But they have added a YouTube video that talks about what the space is about and introduces the actual Incubators Couch series. And then they have spaces where people can donate to the cause, right? To what they're talking about. So if people enjoy their content, they can say, hey, well, I loved your content so much. I'm going to pay $10 or $5 or $3 or whatever towards your, towards your show. So buy a coffee, and they may add a comment. But you also have the ability to actually collect memberships. I'm going to show you because I literally just decided I'm going to see how this works, and I'm going to think through how I want this to reflect community in my own space. So I created this, and I haven't publicized it yet. So y'all are the first to know besides our Stream Bosses Academy members. But I have had people that have come to my Buy Me a Coffee page, right? So they go to my YouTube channel and they go to buymeacoffee.com/Tanya Smith, and they've come into this space. But previously I had just a little picture with, a note saying who I am, and people were buying coffees, and that was awesome. They would buy them for my birthdays or whatever, right? Just to say thanks. But I've added a little $7 membership that will allow people access into my new virtual collaborative spaces. They don't have to be a part of Stream Bosses Academy, but they can come and network with us and use these rooms where I'm creating video tutorials and all kinds of other little fancy things that they can access for $7 a month. So I'm about to promote this in June and July when we do our summer school sessions. I also gift people who are new to my space, because I don't charge. This is really minimal for me to charge for a 30-minute Zoom call. I charge much more than this. But this gives people an opportunity to actually get a one-time special rate and get me on the phone and talk to them about their personal strategy. So there are lots of different ways. I'm even going to add my merch in here as well. There are ways that you can monetize this space and create even more of a community. So Buy Me a Coffee is another space where you can either have free, paid, or a hybrid version. And you may not have even thought of this. It's free for you to set up. They will take a percentage of the funds that you receive. You have to connect it, I believe, I think it's to PayPal. It may be Stripe, but you'll be able to read through all of that. Just go to buymeacoffee.com and set up an account. So those are quick and simple ways, if you start thinking about community, that you can start slowly before buying into or investing in a huge platform. The other thing, John said, I keep seeing people talking about quitting coffee, and I can't imagine anything worse. Me either. I'm such a coffee drinker. That's what I need, is a sound effect that shares like pouring a coffee, because that's my first thing in the morning thing. Okay. So I'm going to go into some more, I don't want to say extreme. I'm going to say next level platforms. How about that? So now, what about paid communities? So once you're ready for paid and you're like, hey, I need to do this paid thing because now I've started establishing myself and more people are coming and they're hanging out in the free space, and they've maybe dabbled a little bit in the $7, or maybe they bought a $50 product or a downloadable or whatever. Then you think about your paid space. Now, this is where you're going to really get into features and benefits. What's the difference, Tanya? I'm going to tell you an easy way to remember features versus benefits. Many of you know what Cheerios cereal is. You know Cheerios? If you know what Cheerios are, give me a thumbs up in the comments. Okay? Cheerios is a cereal. Cheerios is a cereal that comes in a yellow box most of the time. The cereal is shaped like a circle, and it has a hole in the middle. It's typically a light brown. Okay, those are features. Benefits are, according to the box anyway, that eating Cheerios helps you to be more heart healthy. It helps to lower your cholesterol. It helps you to live longer. Now, I don't know that I'm not saying I believe all these things or that they're true, but I'm telling you this to help you to understand the difference between features versus benefits. And you need to understand both when it comes to charging people for your paid membership program. What are the benefits and what are the features? The features may be, hey, you get access to my platform over at Group App, or you get access to my Heartbeat chat platform, which is where ours is now. Okay. But the benefits will be you get that access to a professional who has been in marketing for over a decade and a half and can answer your questions in real time and help you to customize your game plan so that it's not some cookie cutter information that you hear from everybody else, but it is personalized and directed towards the efforts you're trying to work on for your business. They're going to help you in this community to feel supported. They're going to help you to feel encouraged. They're going to help you to feel as though you are empowered to be able to accomplish whatever result you set out to achieve. They're going to make sure that you have worksheets and checklists, which are a feature. But the reason why that's helpful, the benefit of having those worksheets and checklists is that it gives you structure and a track to run on so that you're guaranteed to get to the outcome that you want. Do y'all hear the difference? I hope you're getting the difference. Okay. So when you're creating this content around your live stream and whatever else you might be creating, and you're now promoting and setting up your membership, you need to be clear on what are the membership benefits and the features. And then as you start creating your spaces, I'm going to show you a couple of different spaces that I have. Then you know how to make this thing work, right? And you're more likely to actually bring people in. And yes, yes, yes. Okay, so I'm seeing some thumbs up for people who know what Cheerios are. And I see that note too from John. I think encouragement and support is really what people need. I'm glad you brought that up. Before I show you my own personal space, what I want to share with you is something. I almost forgot this. Thank you, John. There is an article I'm going to share with you. If anybody wants the link, I'll share the link with you. This article, I'm going to pop it up here if I can get to my screen. It's not just an article. It was a study that was done this year. I think within the past month, it was released. Our epidemic of loneliness and isolation. This was from the U.S. Surgeon General. So primarily in the U.S., but I bet you this applies in other countries as well. It's talking about the healing effects of social connection and community. It's talking about the healing effects. And here's what the premise is. It says, our relationships and interactions with family, friends, colleagues, and neighbors are just some of what creates social connection. Our connection with others and our community is also informed by our neighborhoods, our digital environments, schools, and workplaces. Social connection, the structure, function, and quality of our relationship with others is a critical and underappreciated contributor to individual and population health, community, safety, resilience, and prosperity. However, far too many Americans lack social connection in one or more ways, compromising these benefits and leading to poor health and other negative outcomes. When I tell you all they have diagnosed loneliness as an epidemic, it's a big deal. So when you're thinking about creating community, I want you to be thinking about it in broader terms. You're creating a space for people. And the reason why I talked about it being like-minded and supportive and encouraging, because people are aching for that right now. They need that interaction, which is why I don't mind having a free and a paid space, because in both of those spaces, I get to nurture people in different ways at the level for which they are ready. Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up, John. that whole encouragement thing, because it is a huge thing right now. So if you are thinking about community, this is a good time for you to really just put yourself in that space of being the connector. But you have to think about the connector for what? What's my topic and what do I want to help connect people to? If they're over here in point A and they're trying to get to point D, how do I make that connection through the power of community and other people besides myself? Okay, so I'm going to share with you a couple of different spaces that I've created. First, I'll share with you, there's one, I'm not currently using this, so no need to go out and try to sign up for it, but I want to show you what it looks like to give you some ideas as you're thinking about your own space, okay? So this right here is, yeah, and John is right. Lurkers are gonna lurk. It's true. You will have that. You will have that. So it's up to you to put proper boundaries in place, right? Especially if it is a free or paid. In my free community, I have put specific boundaries to ensure that I love on my folks and then I protect them from content that maybe they otherwise would have been seeing because I wasn't paying attention. I had somebody, for example, for those of you who are in the Facebook group, because I do have a moderation tool turned on, I do moderate and I have every comment that somebody else is making, not comment, but post. If you're trying to do a post, you can do a post in the free Facebook group, but I need to review it first. I had someone that was basically trying to spam all of you with a bunch of sales pitches. And I reached out and I gave them a chance and reminded them of the rules. And I did not allow the post to go through. But when they did it the third time, they got booted out of the group. You have to think about rules of engagement and set those rules and expectations, whether you're in a free, if you're hosting a free or a paid community. You need to figure out how you're going to do that and what you're okay with versus what you're not. So when I say time and effort, y'all, this is not easy. You can't just sleep on it and let it run itself. You have to be a part of it, whether it's free or not. So this is the group app space. And I know, John, he said, I miss it. Yeah, this is actually a space I could go back to at some point, just not right now. They are definitely making some changes and improvements, and I love it. Here's what I wanted to point out in terms of features, right? So in this space, it was a hybrid space. So I had both paid and free members. And in this space, I was able to create courses. So if one of the features you want is courses, then you need to think about, can this space that I'm creating or this platform that I decide I want to invest in, can it give me courses? Can it give me a space to actually have a course? So I had like full out courses that were connected to my quiz that people can take, right? It also has a library where I can have both free and paid content. Is that a feature you want? I'm giving you ideas so you can think about, yes, I want this, or no, I don't want that. Now, if you're enjoying this content, if I'm giving you anything of value, I do want you to like this video. It's one thing I forget to ask people to do. I know everybody comes back to me later and they're like, I love the video, it was great. But then I see like 2 likes. So if this is helpful, can you help me out and do that? Okay, so library, I have content in here. These are mini courses. These are free lead magnets that people can access. Decision matrix and PDF. There's all kinds of stuff that you can create when you have a platform that allows you to do that. You can create events in here. You can message people back and forth. You can have different threads of conversations based on specific topics, right? So I have an ask for help section, a newbie intro section, share your links in your stuff section, right? This right here was a private section only for stream bosses to be able to access. So if you were free and you were part of this space, only stream bosses that were paid could see that. I'm sharing these things with you to say you have the capability depending upon, you're only limited in capability by the platform that you choose. So that was one of the platforms I chose. There's also Searchy. Stu McLaren, McLaren, has an amazing program for community and membership building. It's highly extroverted and a lot of energy. I will say that for those of you who are like me, who can kind of get a little overwhelmed sometimes. But it is a very good community, and he has very strong structure, and he's been doing this program for a long time. So if you're looking for someone to help you to actually build out your membership program, if that's what you're trying to do, Stu would be a good place to look. The other place, another place that's a little bit more introverted, or for us who are a little bit more down to earth and not like, wow, is called Membership Academy. So membership.academy. It's very low key. You sign up. You can do a sign up for like 3 months at a time or 6 months at a time. I don't know what their packages are right now, but they have a whole program and curriculum showing you how to actually sign up, or not sign up, but create your own membership program. So when I'm thinking of membership program, I'm talking to you about not free, but paid community spaces. Because if you're doing a paid community space, you're constantly having to put out content. You're constantly having to deliver information and teach and train, or do the things you promised you were going to do, whatever that thing may be. And so you do want to charge for that. So if you want to learn how to set those things up, those type of spaces up, either one of the two programs I just mentioned to you would be excellent. Group app is an excellent tool. If you want the link, let me know and I will send you my personal link. Another space that we use is called Heartbeat Chat. So I'm going to show you that. This is where we currently have our Stream Bosses Academy. We house our space. Our community is inside of Stream Bosses Academy. And I do love this because it's very mobile friendly, although Group App recently created an app. In here, I get a chance to do some similar things. So I can post our replays for different events. So when we have our training day every month, when we have our creator day every month, all of our stuff is located inside one single calendar. We have a membership directory with our network. We have, I have the ability to look at metrics, and I can also create courses inside of Heartbeat Chat. So this is another space, just to give you an example of how you can do this. Whenever you're creating spaces like this, like I mentioned to you, it's important for you to create expectations. And so one of the first things that I do is I have 2 documents that I send people to when they first join. They go to the Start Here document, which gives them a quick overview of the entire space, and it gives them highlights of things that they need to know about how to get around, okay? I also have them look at our code of conduct on how we expect people to behave, because there I'm setting those expectations up front, and now they know, right, that if I don't do this, or if I do something that is against the rules, then I could get a warning, or I could be completely booted from the space, right? So there are lots and lots of different ways. I've even created our training schedule so that our stream bosses know every month what our focus will be for the month, right? And building around that, we have our monthly challenge that we do. So lots of different ways you can set this space up. But the point that I'm making is I sat down and I thought, first of all, about the purpose. And then secondly, about, okay, well, if I want to meet this purpose, what are the features I need in order to be able to achieve that? And then I selected the platform that was able to meet those needs. Okay. So those are really your 3 high level tips. The first being that you do what? You decide if it's going to be free or paid and figure out your purpose. The second thing is going to be that you think through what are the benefits and the features that I'm going to need in order to achieve that purpose. And then the third thing will be selecting the platform that you want to use to meet that purpose. So I've shown you both free and some paid spaces to give you examples to kind of seed the thought that these are all different ways that you can go about creating these communities, right, of people You already know Facebook, so I don't need to show you my Facebook group. But these are all ways that you can potentially set up a space for those people who have been consistently coming and watching and being part of your live stream or your podcast. If this has been helpful to you, I want you to share just one golden nugget. If there's one takeaway, put that into the chat. There's one final thing I think I'm going to share with you before we wrap. I want to make sure I covered our main points. No, I had a couple of other things that I might be missing here. I wanted to share with you that you could potentially consider the benefits of collaborating with other people. The only thing I would say, the reason why I don't do that as often for my community space is because that means you have to work within a time schedule that works for both of you. But there's benefit to having collaboration because you can bring in master trainers on other topics that maybe you don't cover. So inside of my heartbeat chat that you saw, I actually have a guest training section where there have been several amazing guests that have come. Melody Johnson, JP Hightech, Root of Pie. There's all these different people that have come in and they've shared their gifts with my audience in the training day. Yes. All right. I'm seeing some nuggets. My nugget is to not do free, as it didn't work for me either. Yeah. And I don't know that I want to tell you not to do free, but I want to say you got to figure out that bridge. Like, where do I draw the line? Where do I say, okay, this right here is going to go into my free bucket. And if you want more, then you need to come over here and invest in the experience, right? You need to invest in the experience. So yeah, these are gold nuggets. Let me see what else. I love the idea of collaboration. Yeah, because you are collaborating right now with one of your shows, John. So that could be a perfect time for you and the partner that you're working with in those shows. If you wanted to create some type of collaborative community, that you maybe do a tag team. One of you do training month 1, and then the next one do training month 2. Besides us doing training days, we also have co-working days where I draw the community together to get work done, to work on their video strategy. So that is, oh, I love this question. Okay. Yeah, different people need different price points. Your most valuable people can keep going up. And I won't even call them my most valuable because I think every person is equally valuable. But my people who are ready to advance and they realize and recognize the potential that they can reach and how far they can go when they invest in themselves, those are the people that are ready to pay the higher prices. I know this because I was one of them. I will never forget that one of my mentors said, you can't charge $10,000 until you've paid it. I didn't understand when she said that. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. She said, a lot of people out here are trying to charge $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 for these platinum level experiences, but they don't even know what that type of experience looks like because they've never invested in that for themselves. It wasn't until I heard her, I really heard her and applied that to my own life that I realized that. Like, that's what took me to the next level. That's what helped me to speed things up instead of constantly doing things slow and in small bites, right? Okay, so question, what are you using to make those effects? So I am using Ecamm Live, and I am using various overlays that I have purchased. So I have lots and lots of overlays. And I know I jam-packed this particular event tonight with a bunch of content. I hope it didn't like blow smoke out of your ears and all of that stuff. And I still need to get to Roy's question. So I'm about to do that. And if you have to leave, that's okay. You can come back and watch the replay. But I'm going to answer Roy's question of the day. Usually I try to do this in the middle. I just forgot. I was just on a roll. Squirrel. They are so fun. Thank you. Yeah, I love doing those. I used to love doing the noises, the sound effects, but then I realized someone told me that they were neurodivergent, and another person mentioned a comment about them too. Oh, thank you so much. Restore with Selena. Thank you. But they told me that that was really off-putting, the sounds. So I try not to use as many sound effects, even though I love them. But I love using the visuals more because out of respect for my audience, I want to make sure that I don't disturb someone greatly and keep them from learning just because that sound annoyed them. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to go into the question of the day and then I'm going to answer it and then we're going to wrap. Oh, I have one more thing to show you. Question of the day, answer that, and then I'm going to, you know what? Let me do one more thing. Before the question of the day, I'm going to show you a really quick video of our Stream Bosses Suites. So this, remember I was saying to you that I do co-working. We have co-working in our Stream Bosses Academy. This is really cool. Y'all watch this. It's only a couple of seconds. And then I'll be right back doing the question of the day. How about that? Okay. Look, you know, y'all, some of y'all are going to have to jump, which is fine. But come back and watch this part. Okay, let's do it. I had to show y'all that. I had to show you that because that's something new that I'm creating. I know it was so much fun. Nicolette, I'm so excited about doing this for y'all. So we've been doing co-working and we've been using Zoom, right? Which is great. But this takes us to a whole different level. I'm creating and building out virtual collaboration rooms where we can do our co-working. They can have access 24/7. And this is what the access was for those people who are doing this $7 a month membership. They'll have limited access to specific rooms, but we'll have video tutorial trainings. We can do workshops and webinars in that space. I can give them access to different checklists that they can work on while they're in the room. I even have a meditation room. Y'all, I'm super excited, if you can't tell, about adding that as a new feature. The benefit being that whole idea of that social connection, that even if we can't physically be in each other's space, right? Then we still are creating an experience that is very similar to being in the same living room or a dining room and having lunch with each other or sitting on a beach. So very excited about this. But I wanted to share that with you. Now, let's do our question of the day, and then that's going to be a wrap. I will review the 3 points with you one more time. And if you've got questions, I'm looking for your questions. I will answer them, and then we'll disconnect for this week and get ready to see you next week because I have a very special guest, Burton Kelso. Burton Kelso is coming to talk with us next week about security for your video content and other social media content. So he's going to help us lock those things down because hacking is a big thing right now. So that's next Thursday. I have my special guest coming. Okay, question of the day time. I know. So much suspense for question of the day. It's true, John. Look, I decided I'm going to start doing my show as though it is a true, like a show. So we're going to have fun with this thing. So here is the question of the day. The question of the day is, I'm going to pop it up so that you can see it. The question of the day is, what do you do when YouTube is suggesting your videos to the wrong audience? What do you do? I thought this was a genius question. And why? I think that there are so many answers to this question, but I did a little research for you, Roy, to find out the answer. So first of all, my initial thought out of here, my brain was, oh, wait, I got to do another. My mind was blown when I did some research on this, right? But my initial thought was, well, maybe it's because there's certain videos where he's not using tags, or his titles and his description are not using keywords that would appeal to the audience for which he's trying to promote this stuff to, right? But I don't know that that's necessarily always the case. So I actually did a little homework and I found some suggestions, and I found some suggestions on Reddit. I don't know how many of you use Reddit and Quora, but I love using those spaces because people have a lot of similar questions. That also gives you ideas for content for your own videos, by the way. I know there are so many variables. Exactly. Exactly. So here's a couple of things that one person in particular who I thought was pretty genius talked about. And some of these were things that I had ideas about too, but then he added a few. He said, use the correct keywords in your description. Try adding location keywords. Now, when you're thinking of how to direct or drive YouTube to pull the audience that you want, you have to start thinking like, what would my audience want to search for in order to find my content? Really good resources for you there would be vidIQ and TubeBuddy, which I know you know about, right? So this will be for purposes of other folks who don't know. TubeBuddy and vidIQ are excellent sources of information to help you because they are video focused. They're focused on YouTube. And so if you're typing in certain keywords, right? Or maybe let's say you're typing in phrases that people who you're trying to attract would use, then you're more likely, if you're creating titles and descriptions and tags that are focused on those type of phrases, you're more likely to attract the attention of the people you want. He said, add 3 hashtags relating to the video in the bottom of the description. It can include your location. He said, you can try adding a location if that's relevant to you. For instance, a general location like Los Angeles, add that to each of your videos, look under your studio settings, and then go to the default section and set up a video default with those keywords in that location. Let's see. Make sure the language your videos is in is the appropriate one for what you're trying or who you're trying to attract, the demographic that you want. He also made this comment, which I think is smart. YouTube can make mistakes. It's just trying to give audiences what they want. So focus on making specific types of videos. Now, I'm not going to read through this whole list of things that he shared, but I will say this. I have a client that I recently worked with, and she was really just like you, Roy. She was kind of like, well, I don't know why people keep coming to me for this specific topic. And when I looked at her channel, I'm like, wow, the reason why they're coming to you for that topic is because the majority of your videos that are on the playlist that show up when people go to your channel talk about that topic. I know you're saying that's not what you want your channel to be about, but look at the titles and look at the people you're interviewing. That's why YouTube thinks that you want to talk about that topic. So really kind of do your own self audit. And if you need help with something like that, then you can always hire me. Like, contact me, do a discovery session, and I'll share with you a couple of different options. But one of the options is that I can do an audit for you and with you to talk to you about your channel or whatever social spaces where you're doing video. We can look at that together, and I'll give you a grade and explain what the grade means. So that is something that we did, and clearly I could see what the problem was with her channel right off the bat. Like, you're going to have to create more content with titles and descriptions that match what it is you say you want to start delivering. You got to start now so that YouTube over time will start picking up on that versus all this extra stuff over here that you don't really even want to promote. So yes, and this is correct. That's what I told her as well, John. If the content that you have out there that's showing up for YouTube isn't related to your audience, or if it's not related to your current brand, like you've changed brands and so now you're talking about something else other than what those videos talk about, then don't delete them. but you can make them unlisted or private. That's what I would share with you to do, especially if you've gotten a lot of views on them in the past. Don't delete them, but you can unlist them and move them off of your front page. Make sure that your playlist on your front page on your channel reflect the topics that you want people to find that are related to you, right? Get crystal clear about that and create playlists with titles that are related to key phrases and key word phrases that people are more likely to put in order to find that topic so they can find you. Okay. All right, y'all. So that's it. That's what I got. I hope that answered your question. And yeah, John is he's dropping a lot of knowledge and wisdom in here as well, because John is an OG and he's also got his own live stream stuff. You can create multiple channels on a single account, so consider going more niche. That is exactly right. Yvette said, yes, ma'am, she's right. Ask me how I know. Yep. Yvette and I have absolutely worked together, and I am just amazed at the things you're doing, Yvette. Yvette C. Lee Music, go check her out. Yvette C. Lee Music on YouTube. Follow, because she's going to blow up. Like, things are happening because she's putting the work in. She's consistent, and she's taking action on the things that she's learning, which I absolutely love and adore. Thank you, Scott, for saying it's great info. Y'all have an amazing week. Make sure you come back. If you're not already liking, subscribing, and all the things, then I want to make sure that you do that. So don't forget to subscribe. Come and visit with us at getnoticedwithvideo.com. That's my main website. Yes, you're so very welcome. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here, both my newbies and my OGs in the house. It's been awesome. You're very welcome, Yvette. Welcome back from your, I know, awesome vacation. I would love to go on vacation soon. I hope I can do that soon. Thank you, John. Yes. Come back, y'all, next week so that you can come and hang out with me and Burton, and you can ask him questions. So make sure you bring your notepad and your pen and ask him questions about securing your videos. Look, some major YouTubers and other people who are doing video content, y'all, some big ticket people who have millions of followers have been hacked recently. Their accounts have been taken over and shut down. When I say that this thing is happening, look, you might think you're small, but you still may have, it could do more damage to you. Well, it could probably do more damage to somebody that had 1 million followers, but it's still damage regardless, and we don't want it. So if we can prevent that, that's what we want Burton to help us to learn to do. So he's coming next Thursday. So come back. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow so that you never miss a thing. I look forward to serving you and to talking more about how live stream marketing can help you to grow your brand online and everywhere, because it's what we do. We
Stream like a boss.
Yes. I'm looking forward to it too, John. All right, y'all. Have a good night and have a beautiful weekend. Stay safe out there. Stay safe and stay well. And I will see you next time in the stream.